You know, part of me almost wishes things were not the way they are just because I'm me. Part of me also wishes that, yeah, things were different because work's still annoying. But let's get all past that. This isn't one of those themed videos. I'm literally seeing how the world is all of a sudden self isolating itself from each other. Like I don't already do that as it is. And quite frankly, I don't want to be the bearer of annoying news, but it's starting to freak me the hay out a little bit. And, you know, I want to make sure you understand this. This isn't a call for help. This isn't me asking for a lot of cash. I have enough money to survive on for now. I'm just saying what I'm doing right now and how I'm projecting things and how the world is acting is a flippin' nightmare. And I apologize that I have to actually once in a while talk about my feelings as much as I hate that. This isn't scripted. This isn't a fireside show. This is just me saying, yeah, shit be whack, yo. But to the point here, first and foremost, I'd like to thank every single human being who's working at a supermarket right now, myself included, because you guys might not understand this very well. We have to follow the same rules and guidelines the store sets out for everybody else, whatever that may be. Um, we thankfully, as you can see behind me, I already had enough toilet paper to last me for a while, so I ain't worried about that part. But what I'm starting to worry about, though, isn't I'm not going to have enough food. Give me milk and cereal, and I'll be set for life. Literally, that's all I can. All I have to eat. Okay, mix up some Lucky Charms with some frosted flakes and maybe some sugar, whatever heck. I don't even remember. Point is, anything sweet would work. I'll even eat grape nuts from time to time. But what I'm worried about is everything else I'm supposed to have. Water is not going to be a big issue, but going around, I really am out of orange juice. I need some more vitamin C. Definitely can't find a lot of that right now. I don't want to live off of cereal forever. I need protein for a lot of things, just in general. But that's getting harder and harder to find meats for. So I'm having a little bit of difficulty there. And despite all of that, I still have to work. They didn't shut down my job yet. I feel for all of you. I really do. Who are sitting at home right now, have nothing to do. Your job closed down for whatever reason, and you can't get paid for what have you. I understand that's a pain in the rear end, and I hope you get better and your situation improves. But there's not much I can say. Now, in a typical timeline, right this very moment, I'd be watching most of the first round of the NCAA tournament right about now. I'd be flipping channels. I'd be looking to see if Texas was actually going to do something this year, or how bad Houston was going to get their butts kicked, or everyone's favorite pastime, making fun of Duke. How about that North Carolina rivalry? Wonder how that went this year. Well, we'll never know because it was all canceled, and that's a pain. And I had plans to go to Waco next weekend, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Food truck showdown, killer delayed, as well as several other conventions. And I'll talk about that in a separate video. I've got another announcement today about ASIN, and it really sucks because I really want to see ASIN succeed considering how they've been. But for me, I'm not worried about my health. I mean, like I said in another video, if I were going to die of an infectious disease, it would have been 15 years ago. I still worry about the coronavirus. Make no mistake about that. But I worry about it in the sense of if I get it and don't know, I work as a cashier, and that means I'm probably the one person everybody and that's one of the biggest problems about all the retail. We don't have any real defense, generally speaking. I'm sure there's defenses. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have some lines of defense, but we talk to every single person who comes up and down that store, no matter what happens. So, on that regard, that's what I worry about the most. I don't feel ill. I don't feel like I'm sick. I don't feel like I'm coughing up a storm or, God help me, the shortness of breath. What I am worried about, though, when I do that, is that I can't stop at this point. I already used all my sick days earlier in the year, so I can't really use any more until after May, and that's the problem. Yeah, this doesn't change the system I have to work under. It definitely doesn't mean I'm happy about the situation. I mean, and I haven't really gone out and gotten enough food for a lot of other things. Like I said, milk and cereal I'll be happy with. So that's my main concern, is that the people who work at this, they still have to face it on the front line no matter what. And that's kind of a pain. So when you see these people, when you go to the store, I hope you find a bit of a newer sense of appreciation for the people who work at these superstores, because they have been working their butts off making sure you can still survive. And don't go out there and raid every single shelf, please. For God's sakes, we've got plenty of food going around. You don't have to treat this like a third world country, for heaven help us. But I just feel like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting a little bit. Maybe I'm just being sentimental. And maybe I'm really am panicking in my own little way. So that really doesn't suit me. The point I want to make here is, ladies and gentlemen, this is showing us exactly what we didn't want. The self quarantining, the keeping away from other people, the shutdown of basic whole industries going on, schools being closed. On one end, it sucks because the government's not able to do everything, and I can't blame anyone. I can't blame Donald Trump. I can't blame China. I can't blame anyone else. On the other end, maybe this is a good time to start dealing with personal projects and getting a little bit more entwined with what I would like to do and how I'd like to live my life outside of work. I can't even go to play Pathfinder. All the game stores are closed. Very much so. It could be days or weeks before things get settled out. And I said to wait until April, around the first weekend, because I feel like then we'll know how big and bad this thing is getting. Well, we're about 2 weeks out from that. And that's basically what the governor of Texas basically said, Greg Abbott. Now everything closes down for 2 weeks, get drive through or delivery. But I have a problem with that. And this one's a little bit worse for me because I don't have a car and I can't drive. I can't get drive through. And delivery takes so much longer if everyone's flooding that system. At least they waived the delivery fee. That's a good thing. But it's so much harder for me because I have to walk or ride the bus everywhere. I don't get to go drive through. I don't get to work at home most of the time. I'm trying to make things better that way. As you can tell, I'm doing more videos about other stuff, but I can't do any of that. And that's the biggest issue. I'm the one type of person who I have to go work in a brick and mortar store for now. I have to walk. I have to take the bus. I don't get the luxury of just being in a car going through the drive through. And I know this is going to be really, really bad, but I think everyone's overreactions are making it harder on the people like myself who, we don't have the same abilities that everyone else takes for granted. We don't have cars. I'm not just talking the elderly. I'm also talking people like me who have a mental disability. They can't do very much out of this. People who are worse off than I am, who can't even get their clothes on without assistance. It's really, it's really hard to put in the words that way, but I don't know if I told this story, but I'm going to go ahead and do it because it relates to what I'm thinking right now. My cousin Brendan was in a wheelchair throughout his entire life. We never treated him any different than any other member of the family. Yeah, we helped him get around up and down the stairs. They built a ramp at our elementary school finally, when I was in first grade and he was just getting in kindergarten because he couldn't walk up the stairs. It took a while finally to realize, hey, maybe we should do that. I don't know how old the school was, but I was sure a good 10, 15 years at the very least. And I'll never forget the when he passed away. His father, my uncle Gary, um he talked about how he was pulled over and my cousin Brandon was in the car because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt that day. So every time they drove, my uncle would be reminded by my cousin Brandon, "Hey, wear your seatbelt, Daddy. Wear your seatbelt." And one day, Uncle Gary got in a very bad wreck, severely bad, and they said very much so. If you weren't wearing your seatbelt, you would have died that day. You would not be even. We might not be walking, that's for sure, but you'd be pretty much in a body bag. And my cousin Brandon saved his life, basically. I don't want to make it seem like one person had to go because somebody else, but when you see your family, especially somebody who was a year younger than I was, just go like that. You didn't have any way of knowing or changing it, and they have a harder time doing with this than I do, and I think that's what I really want to get across is that people are struggling out there that have more difficulty and yet still can make so much more happen because of that, you know, than than people think is possible. I I mean, I'll be fine. I think I should be okay, but even then, it's the people who I know can't help themselves like that. It's the people who, may I say it outright, need our help. And I don't know if you have anybody like that. I don't live with near anyone anymore. My dad's nearly 70 something and yet he's still holding on. So it's making me realize maybe not me, but other people this affects them so much more. Again, I apologize that it wasn't a theme kind of video, but I needed to get that out there. I apologize you have to hear my story about my past. I try not to get that to people. But I'm worried about a lot of other things. And right now, I'm not that big I'm worried about me. So, yeah, I'm not going to say my ending line. I don't feel like it's appropriate this time, but still, you know what I will say? It's in the video description anyway. I probably will not do the video I had planned for this evening, but I will do it at a later time. But even then, take care of yourselves, guys. Later.